Welcome to Flourish Writers, where aspiring and working writers gather in community, seek clarity, and grow in the craft of writing. I'm Mindy Kiker, together with Jennifer Kokert. We're passionate to see you flourish in your writing life. Enjoy this episode of the Flourish Writers podcast, where we take you behind the scenes with working writers for a deep dive into their writing and publishing process. In our conversation, we discover how authors overcome challenges and thrive in the writing life. This episode is brought to you by the Flourish Writers Academy, a 12-month writing journey that provides clarity and guidance to meet your writing goals through community, action, and accountability. We're accepting registration right now for the 2022 Academies. Get all the details at flourishwriters.com. And what a joy to welcome to the podcast today, friend and fellow author, Tiffany Jo Baker. Welcome, Tiffany.
Mindy, I'm so excited for our time together every time we get together. I enjoy
Me too. It's always a treat. Tiffany Jo Baker is a caffeinated mom of 2 teen girls, surrogate mom who has delivered 5 babies for 3 families dealing with infertility, proud dog mom and wife to an extreme outdoorsman. She's the podcast host of All the Things TV, author of the devotional Soul Care for Go-Getters, speaker and strategizer who uplifts the soul and success of women walking out their why at home and online so they can birth their God-given dreams and projects. And I've spent enough time with you, Tiffany Jo Baker, to know that you are the right person that I want speaking to Flourish Writers about all the things social media.
Oh, it's a big thing, isn't it? So I'm excited to dive in and try to break it down a little bit.
Yeah, you're so good at doing that. We're going to be talking about leveraging and repurposing what you've already written for social media, because one of the ways to tame the social media beast is to give it the scraps, so to speak.
I love that.
And not in a bad way, but you feed it with what you've already got going on. Right?
Absolutely. I love what you said, to tame the beast.
Yeah. So you think I was just having visions of Feed Me Seymour, the plant that eats things.
Yes.
You got to keep.
What is that plant
Little
called?
Shop of Horrors.
Yes.
Little shop of horrors.
There you go.
Anyway,
intro music right there.
There's my intro music. So let's just start off with looking at why writers need to be sharing on social media, because there are some people listening to us saying, oh, I don't want to listen anymore. This is about social media. I don't like it, or I'm just doing it by the grit of my teeth. But is it important? Is it one of those things that needs to be involved in a writer's life, and why? So keep listening, because you might hear something that brings you peace and refocuses what you're doing.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. So there's a few reasons why we need to be on social media as writers or as writerpreneurs. And the first one is because if you're part of Flourish Writers, if you're a writer, God has given you a message that needs to get out. And so that's the first thing. We can't just stay at home with our message, with our writings. There's a purpose behind the God-given message. So we need to get it out there. The second reason is because if you are like me, and I'm like a lot of you, because I was a Flourish writer, I have been in the academy, I've enjoyed my process with Flourish and come back from time to time. I know you live full lives. Like, this isn't just something you kind of do because you have lots of extra time. You have full lives, full plate, a booked schedule. And so you really need to find the biggest bang for your buck. And that's why we go to where the people are in that social media right now. I just saw some statistics from October of 2021 that says 57.6% of the world's population uses social media. That's over half the world. And on average, the daily user is on social media 2 hours and 27 minutes.
What in the world?
Right. That's where the people are. So if we're writing and we have a God-given message, we have full lives, let's use that time we have wisely and share it as online evangelists, as digital missionaries, and get your message out there using social media.
So that's where people are hanging out. Just as a little follow-up to that, all the people on social media. And then I'm sitting here thinking, well, how come only 2 of those like my post?
Yep.
Are we going to get into just speaking to that really frustrated, fed up person who's been trying to be faithful on social media? And we all hear, be consistent, show up, give value. And they're like, I've been giving my little value heart out till I've got nothing left. And I'm just really not seeing much traction.
Yeah, that's a hard space to be at. And we're all there from time to time, maybe now, maybe longer than we ever want to be. I think no matter how big your platform is, you can feel that. You can feel like I am giving, and only this small amount, and our small amount is different for each of us. But I kind of go back to, well, 2 things. Number one is I have found that when I've even posted and have had very little engagement, say likes, comments, reshares, but yet somebody is texting me about it. Somebody later comments about it. So just because they may not be engaging with it, it is still out there and it's still being seen, whether it's by 1 or 1 million. And when you think of Jesus, he talks about going after that one, leaving the 99 to go after that one. So even if it's just, if you were at coffee speaking life into one person, giving them hope, giving them direction, you would call that hour or 2 at coffee a time well spent. We have to think the same way about the time we spend sharing on social media, no matter how many statistics, analytics might show for it.
Oh, thank you. That's really, really good. And I know exactly what you say. We have experienced at Flourish Writers and me personally of thinking that, quote, no one, which by the way, is that really no one, or is it just not as many as I hoped, or not as many as that other writer over there seems to be getting? Later, someone saying, oh man, your posts, that's just always exactly what I need to hear. And I'm like, why didn't you ever tell me?
Exactly.
And then secondly, like the other thing that helps me is I really do not do stuff on social media that isn't fun. Like, so at the end of the day, I'm mostly doing it for me. If you like it, well, come along for the ride. That's awesome. But I have fun. If I'm writing a post, I have fun with it. It's almost like micro poetry blogging for me. I really take time to craft some nice little message about something that I noticed in nature or something like that. So I'm showing up as Mindy, as my writerly self, but I use it as an opportunity to process for myself.
That's good.
And so it's fun. So even if it gets less response than I would really like, at the end of the day, did I enjoy it? Heck yeah.
Well, and that's so important, because if something is energy producing, we're going to do it more. And so finding that sweet spot for you for social media, for the things that are energy producing, that's a super big key. And in the process, your people are getting to know you, and people connect with people, not brands. So you are doing amazing work, even though you're having fun doing it.
And then you find the platform that agrees with your style. Like I've got some friends who just love Twitter, love Twitter. That's the place they hang out. So like choose a place and hang out there. You don't need to hang out in all the places. No. So we've been writing, we're writing. And then we come up for air and we go, oh my goodness, the social media. What should I put there? but I've just done all my writing. I just don't have any strength left to make a social media post. Oh, but wait, could I repurpose something I was writing? So why does repurposing for social media just work, Tiffany?
I love your dramatics, by the way. I love because it's so true.
I'm
It's
feeling
so,
all the
so
feels.
true. It's, whether or not you show it on the outside, you feel it, deep within of, oh no, I need to do one more thing. Well, yes, we need to repurpose our ratings for a number of reasons. It's really for our own benefit because we don't have to recreate the wheel. Like, who wants to feel like they have to get up every single day and not only write towards maybe your book project or your course project or whatever it might be, your text, but then also have to do this whole other thing of social media. And so figuring it out, it's not another thing. That's what repurposing our writing is all about. And another thing is that I know y'all have heard this before, but the algorithm on social media tends to only show our posts to maybe 5 or 10% of our followers, which is a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is about when we repurpose our content, it's most likely going to hit other people. So it's not going to be, the chance of them having seen it or even remembering it is pretty slim. So by resharing it and repurposing it, you're saving yourself time, energy, heartache, dramatics, and you are actually still feeding your people. I also think it's kind of like when we read the Bible, we can read, say we do a proverb of the day. We can read that proverb March 1st and the same one April 1st, and it hits us completely different. So when you repurpose, it's going to hit different people different ways at different times. And then I think the final reason we need to repurpose is that different forms of content hit different people. Mm-hmm. So if you repurpose it as a microblog or as a quote or as a video, the different forms, different links are going to hit different people. So there's lots of great reasons on why we should be repurposing our content.
Those are good reasons. And to the repeating yourself or intention of just getting your message out there, I struggled with that for many years because I felt like, well, everyone had read it. I first of all, I thought they had actually read it.
Yeah, let's stop there. Yes.
Second of all, I thought they had remembered it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I didn't want people to think, oh man, Mindy's really got no original ideas. She's just beating the same old dead horse. But when I realized that likely they hadn't read it, very likely maybe they had skimmed it, hadn't really sunk in, they hadn't remembered it. They see the same thing in a different form a little bit later. Now there's a chance that it might start to sink in. Mm-hmm. But what really sent that home for me, Tiffany, was when I realized that marketing is a memorization campaign. The core of marketing is that you are trying to get people to memorize your little sticky statements and think of you. And do you know how you help people to memorize things? You repeat them. And it's not that it's repetitious and boring. It's that it's comforting. Mm-hmm. Why do we love familiar scriptures? Mm-hmm. It's comforting to know what it says and to hear it again. So I think you're actually giving your readers and your community a gift, finding a safe, warm, cozy place. Like, I know Mindy, I know Flourish Writers, I know Jenny. Oh, that feels so good.
Mm-hmm. Powerful. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're convincing me, Tiffany, I'm going to repurpose for social media. But so if I'm trying to gear myself into think, okay, how do I actually do this? I like the idea, but are there any questions that I can ask myself to get me started leveraging my writing?
Yes. So just the one thing to ask yourself, and have a piece of paper next to you when you do this, is what have I already written? What do I already have out there? Do you have blogs from 5, 6, 7 years ago? Do you have a manuscript that you started writing that's kind of been put to the side? Do you have some poetry in a journal somewhere? What about bringing out your, if you still are the kind of person that does this, your Bible and your notebook from church, from where you take notes? So you've got content everywhere that you have been, whether knowingly or unknowingly, creating. So you are a content creator. So I want you to write down what do you have already? You know, those idea lists, that notebook, those places. And then the second part to that is, what is easiest for you to write? Like, what is the thing for you that doesn't take anything? Maybe it's a prayer. Maybe you write prayers. Maybe you write letters to people. Maybe you are like one of those rare people that writes books like really, really fast. So I want you to think what you already have written. And then also part two, what is easiest for you to write that isn't anything to you to jot down and to do? That's will get you started.
Love it. And let me just affirm to the writers out there who undervalue the types of writing that comes easy to them.
Yes.
Oh, Tiffany, like I can jot off a prayer. I love it. I write down these prayers. I never thought much of it. And Jenny's like, you write such good prayers. So, well, you know, I love it like that. It so blesses me to write something that someone can either speak over themselves or that I speak over them. Like I just love it, but I never valued it at all because it did come easy to me. But hallelujah, let's celebrate. Just say thank you for the things that you can do, that when you are writing them, they are as nourishing for you as they are going to be for someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so important. And having that awareness of what you do write easy. Like a few of my recent posts have been recycled from texts that I've encouraged my friends with.
Yes.
I'll copy and paste that text, tweak it a little bit, and speak that over my entire friends, family, and community online.
Yes, because often what is coming out kind of naturally, you are speaking to one person. You know how in writing, we often say you visualize that ideal reader. Well, here it is. My friend in need is my ideal reader. It's standing in for my reader. Oh, I repurpose a text that I wrote. And often those things come out with kind of a freshness, because not like our other writing isn't real, but this is really real.
Yes. Yes. This is unscripted. There's usually not a template that you're working with. You're just flowing.
Yeah.
You're just flowing.
And can I also speak to the person who is concerned about recycling from a while back? We have a tendency to get distracted by thinking that everything has to be new and fresh. And then nobody's going to be interested in this thing that I wrote a few years ago. It's, I don't know, is it topical now? Is it in the conversation? Is it trendy? Is it eye-catching? But let me just encourage you that there is value in that stuff. And other people may not have seen it before. And even if they did see it before, have you ever picked up a favorite book, kind of like Tiffany was talking about with the Proverbs, and you go to that chapter 3 that you just spoke to you so much, and you read it again, and there's a whole new message in there? Because when you read it before, you were in a different place. And then when you come back to it again, it's a whole new, amazing experience. So offer that to your readers as well.
Yes. And isn't that why we write books? Because published books are going to be around forever. And so that's the beauty of, you know, when you think of the Bible, how long that's been around, classic. Your published work, that's the difference between posting on social media, which may have a limited time span of being circulated, and publishing books that can be around for decades or centuries. So it's not old or not, I can't think of the word.
Outdated or
Thank you. Outdated.
trivial,
yes.
Or passe. Yeah.
See, you're so good at words.
I'm
Not
like
any of those things. I
thesaurus.
love it. I love it. But it can be fresh, it can be timely, and it can be needed.
Yes. And just this morning, I went to see A Christmas Carol with my children at the State Theater. And I was just sitting there marveling that we still love this old story.
Yeah.
That's because it's tapped into timeless truths. And when we are writing, especially when we're, writing alongside God, a message that we really feel He has put in our lives, it's been written in the fabric of our lives first, and then it comes out in words. That's a timeless message. So do you have some steps to help us repurpose our content, Tiffany? Let's make it practical.
Okay, this is going to be super easy, super simple, just 4 steps. The first one is to just pick a text, a foundational text that you're going to work with. So remember, I had you take out that piece of paper where you're writing the things that you already have, the content you already have. So just pick something from there. Maybe it's a blog post, maybe it's a chapter from a book, whatever it might be. So start with your foundational text. That's number 1. Number 2 is I just want you to look at it with fresh eyes and pull out 1 to 3 quotes from it. So just little mini nuggets that you can pull out of that article or that chapter or that blog post. Pull out 1 to 3 quotes, write those down. So that's step 2. So already we're repurposing. Already we have multiple ways we're going to share this on social media. Then number 3, I just want you to choose how you're going to repurpose it. How are you going to leverage this foundational text? And what I want you to think of from here is what is easiest for you to do on social media. Maybe you're a short form person and just having quotes works for you. Maybe you're going to take this 2,000 word article and you're going to create a microblog from it to post, a little paragraph to put on there. Maybe it's going to become a video on social media. I know I said the V word, video on social media, but I know a lot of you out there, some of you are what might say you're more of a speaker that writes versus a writer that speaks. So speaking might actually be easier for you than writing. So I want you to think of how are you going to leverage this writing in a different form? Choose that. And then the 4th way is to do it. Repurpose it into that other form on social media. So whether that's quotes or graphics or a video or short form or even long form. Maybe you started with a little something and you want to expand on it. So those are the 4 easy points. You're going to start with your foundational text. You're going to go ahead and pull out 1 to 3 quotes. You're going to number 3, choose one way that you want to repurpose it and share it in a different way. And 4, do it. Repurpose it on social media.
I think I could do that, Tiffany. It sounds so doable. Let me just also encourage our listeners that when you do this, and you might already be doing this, but it gives you a really nice way to connect with people and also to give yourself a kind of holding bucket for all these ideas is to create little series or little themes. And it's amazing how this kind of bumps up your brand, I guess you'd say, creates some interest, gets people on board with something. We're going somewhere together. You can cast a vision, create a little bit of branding on Canva for your series. That can be a lot of fun. So when you're repurposing, especially if you get into a part of your previous writing where you realize, wow, for quite a few weeks, I was writing about, XYZ, or I've got this whole series of devotionals that were, related to a season. related to a time of the year, related to something that goes on in our lives, children going back to school, relocating parents to assisted living, bringing your first baby home, all those kinds of things that we experience. When you then have little series that are based on a seasonal thing or just a theme, any kind of theme, and you can cast that vision, and then your content is little bits within that. I think that's a great way to give yourself some structure, isn't it?
It's absolutely, and it's so strategic. And it looks like you know what you're talking about.
It
And it
does.
looks like you had a plan and it was purposeful all from the beginning. And little do they know that this came out of this aha moment of just leveraging and repurposing what you already had. You know, another simple way to do it is, what if you had a blog, maybe the seven ways to find hope in the hard places. Okay, so you have that blog, there were 7 things in there. Well, there's like 7 weeks of content right there. There's a little series, mini series right there. You could do a 3-minute video on each point and do it 1 time a week.
Yeah, and
There's
tell
so
people
many ways.
my video's coming out on Monday.
Yes.
Get people looking forward to it. On Friday, you can tease it, the next installment of my story.
Yes, you can find, I guarantee that list of the content that you already have written down, that potentially could be the next quarter of 2022, or even maybe the next year, if you really plan it out and take a look and see what you can do with that. And the series is such a simple but strategic way to keep you moving forward and not forgetting. I have clients who will start the repurposing project and then they'll kind of lose steam and forget. But if you have that list of like a series, you're going to finish it. You're not going to like start it and then stop it. You have this plan and you have this calendar, you're going to continue it.
Yeah. So practically, do you make like a little spreadsheet or like a Trello board, or how do you suggest people gather the list or lists of what they have?
Yes, I'm a big believer in Trello. Number one, it's free. Number two, it's a simple project management system. And and you can have the app on your phone. So as I'm having these great ideas, I can copy and text and paste things into my Trello board. And so, yeah, I just simply I have a column that's writing and speaking ideas. And then I also have columns for each month. So the way Trello is set up, as I can say it, it's a very visual project, but it's basically, I describe it as like Post-it notes. And so if you're this type of person that likes to write stuff on Post-it notes, but it gives you the ability to drag and drop them. So you can write these different ideas on different Post-it notes and then drag it into January, drag it into March, drag it into wherever it is that you're going to place it. And you start to build this little system and that you can go to and have the content that you need to keep you going on social media.
Have you ever done any little videos showing your Trello boards, Tiffany? Or can you point people to a resource if they wanted to check it out and see if it would work for them?
I just send people to YouTube for just the basics. So it's Trello.com is the basic resource. But when I onboard interns into my ministry business, I will simply just share a link, 10-minute video on the basics of Trello that I found on YouTube.
Okay.
And it easily will show them the overview. And you don't have to use all the bells and whistles. You just make it work for you, how easy or in depth you want to do it.
That's a good tip. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And we so enjoyed having you as part of the Academy in 2020, right?
It was that year.
You were one of our founding students, Tiffany, in there. It was so fun to have you just involved in Academy life and Flourish Writers life. And I wonder if you feel like, reflecting on that year, what were the benefits of Academy life for you?
Oh goodness. Well, we could do a whole podcast just on that. But I so enjoyed my time. And it's exactly how y'all describe it. It's community, accountability, and action. And that's really what I needed in that season, because I knew that I was going to be finishing up writing my devotional and then launching it into the world. So I needed that community of people who were either right where I was and those who are ahead of me that I could learn from. And then I needed accountability to keep going, because let's face it, it was 2020.
You didn't
So
know that when you joined, but that
I
sure
did
was handy
not.
to have it there.
And I don't know that I knew it in it, but now looking back, which hindsight is 2020, looking back, just having that accountability of people who are cheering you on, checking in with you, was so amazing. And then I think the thing that y'all have hit on that a lot of other programs don't is the action.
Mhm.
You not only teach it, but you create a space to do it.
Mhm.
And that is priceless, because I think so many of us get full of all the information and then we don't do anything with it. So I absolutely enjoyed. I still have some dear friends who we still get together and talk to virtually. We had a wonderful group who we walked through that experience with, Academy group, and I think half of us have published a book either during that year or since then. And so we've just been cheering each other on along the way. And a lot of us are on book number 2. So
Oh,
it's
that's
exciting.
so fun. You develop like these lifelong friendships in there.
Absolutely.
I think it's just, it's the Lord's kindness to draw people together who really are looking for that kind of connection. And then we find it, because I don't know, you just throw a stone and there's all these like-minded people. That's so special.
It really is.
Yeah, I love that.
Mhm.
One of the beginning places that we encourage early in the year, we do a lot of work. January is basically dedicated to your writer's life planning guide, to getting a lot of that groundwork set up, clarifying your vision, where you're heading to, and what are my goals realistically going to be, and then breaking it down, where am I going to start? Because the reason we spend a lot of time there is that we're in it for the long haul. We're going to be doing this together it's not like a 6-week course, get in and out, and then whatever, either I do it or I don't do it. Like you say, we're focused on the action, because we have got to get this turning into something useful in our writing life. And one of the things we start with is an affirmation, or something that we would speak over ourselves when we sit down to write. And it's like a declaration or an affirmation. It's speaking over yourself, like a prophetic calling to your writer heart, of what the Lord has impressed on you, why you're here, where you're going with it. It reinforces your why and God's promise to you every time you sit down to write. And I've always loved the affirmation that you speak over yourself, and I use it as an example pretty regularly. But would you mind to just read that for us? And maybe if you want to give us a little bit of the background, you're welcome to.
Yeah. So I created this writer's declaration in 2020, because I knew God had said, I want you to write this devotional. And it's a lot harder than just getting the why and getting the word and then actually doing the thing. And so I found when I actually went to do the thing, I got really distracted. And since I'm a speaker that writes, writing is not my first language. And so I found myself saying that, oh, well, I'm a speaker that writes, which can become negative instead of uplifting. And so the Lord really just convicted me. He said, I want you to create this declaration to speak over yourself before you sit down and write. And it repurposed and reframed my brain, my mindset. And I have to tell you, it completely changes my writing time when I do this first. So here we go. This is what I wrote, and this is what I say and speak out loud. I am a writer. I love to write. I am a messenger of God. God gives me messages, words to write and speak that share his will and ways. God's words through me are powerful and effective. They are anointed and with design and purpose. They communicate God's heart in a way that the reader can understand and grasp. They motivate change. They empower transformation. They heal the brokenhearted. They encourage the lonely. They set free those that are stuck and in bondage. Nothing will keep me from writing the words God gives me. When I sit down to write, I remember what you have said to me, Lord. Your words flow through me without obstacles. Speak, Lord, I am your messenger, ready to hear and share your words of life. The words I share will fall in good soil, have a deep root, and bear good fruit for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Oh, it gives me goosebumps every time I hear it, Tiffany.
It
So,
encourages me, like I get pumped up, like just saying that. And if you probably noticed a few scriptures that are put in there, and that's how I started it, was just researching what in the Bible, things about writing and words and the power of words and being a messenger, and incorporated that into it.
yeah, that's beautiful. And when you speak that over yourself before you write, you noticed like your writing came out better.
Yes.
You were more focused and felt more capable.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was purpose. It was God's purpose behind it. Instead of Tiffany just writing down a write, I felt like I had a purpose, a calling, that if I wasn't doing it, it was almost being disobedient.
And not even almost, but
Yeah.
you were being disobedient.
Thank you, Mindy. Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Because it is a big part of, often people join the academy when they finally decide, I am going to stop running away from this call. And I'm beginning to feel that it is not just whether I want to or not. I'm beginning to feel like it's disobedience.
Yes, you're right. 100%.
And I'm sorry. It's not okay for me to continue to say no, thank you to something that I really feel called to do. And then it actually turns out to be one of the most thrilling things you've ever stepped into. And I know in my own spiritual walk, when there's all kinds of landmines, all kinds of barriers, all kinds of fears, all kinds of doubts, I don't have the time for that. When all that is in my way, then I know this is probably something really awesome. Why else would all the forces of evil put up such a fight?
So true. That's how it is, isn't it?
Oh, Tiffany, this has just been so fabulous. We covered lots of ground, and I know all of you listening have been grabbing your notes. If not, you're going to come back and listen to this again, because there was a lot of good, just practical content that makes me feel like a weight has lifted off my shoulders. Thank you for doing that for us, Tiffany.
Absolutely. I appreciate the part that y'all have played in my journey, and excited to see what's next.
Amen. What's next? So exciting. We'll be watching. Where can people find you, Tiffany, if they want to learn more about what you're doing and your next book that you teased that you're working on?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Tiffany Jo Baker, and online tiffanyjobaker.com. And I do have a freebie leverage your writing worksheet in my shop. So feel free to download that for free, and it gives you the little outline of the steps that I provided today.
Ooh, wonderful. So even if your note-taking hand wasn't quite quick enough, go to tiffanyjobaker.com and grab that freebie in her shop. Thanks for that, Tiffany. And thank you for joining us at the podcast. We'd love to spend more time with you inside the Flourish Writers Academy, our 12-month writing journey that provides clarity and guidance to meet your writing goals through community, action, and accountability. Doors are open for the 2022 Academy. Get all the details at flourishwriters.com. Here's to seeing you flourish in your writing life, one story at a time. Bye for now.